Group Pet, Gao Tian, Time Traveling, 1v1, through the Zhou Dynasty, Wanlan had nothing. There are only 6 brothers who call for wind and rain, and their favorite sisters are unrestrained. As long as the younger sister likes it, even heaven and earth should help her get it. But it's difficult for Xiao Yanzhi to have her heart, little sister. Xiao Yanzhi was reborn and never wanted to have any further involvement with the Lu family. Even if pretending to be sick and dead, I don't want to marry Lu Wanlan, the world's most powerful wife. Unexpectedly, on the day of her wedding, she came wearing mourning clothes and carrying a coffin, saying that she wanted to see the prince off as a widow. Xiao Yanzhi sat up in shock from his illness. This woman is really haunted. Big brother. Prince, my little sister is weak and unable to take care of herself. Thank you for taking care of her. Second brother. I have prepared a few facial expressions for my brother, and I will accompany you to the palace to serve you. Third brother. This seducer cannot be reckless. I will help you write a love letter to your brother. In law. Fourth brother. Pooh, if you want to keep a man's heart, you need to keep his stomach. Our chef will deliver it to you tomorrow. Fifth brother. But it's always not appropriate to keep the room open. I have prepared the secret medicine in the palace for you. Sixth brother. His Xiao family's territory was all conquered by the Lu family. This person is really ignorant. Let his brother take care of you. Lu Wanlan. Imperial Master, you still have to look at the whip in your hand. Xiao Yanzhi. There is a way to heaven. If you don't leave, you will come to my door for nothing. I have no choice but to accept it with a smile. Lu Wanlan felt even more that Xiao Yanzhi, who had previously looked sickly, had been looking at him with a fierce, hungry wolf-like look in his eyes lately. Lu Wanlan. Prince, I need to go home. Xiao Yanzhi. Where do you think the Prince of Yan's mansion is? Come and leave whenever you want. However, the Queen of Yan is tired of being a queen. How about being an empress? Keywords of the novel. Turning the Waves without pop-ups, downloading the complete collection of Turning the Waves TXT, and reading the latest chapters of Turning the Waves. Chapter 1. The Tattoo of the Man in Black. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. The Tattoo of the Man in Black. The sky has just revealed fish belly white, and last night's rain is still hanging on the leaves. On the official road leading to the capital of Great Zhou, 2 carriages quietly parted ways. One of them turned west and headed towards a bamboo forest. During the autumn tiger season, the rain and dew in the forest were not dry, and the air was very stuffy and hot. But the carriage was covered with a blue-gray cloth curtain, 3 layers inside and 3 layers outside, which was tightly sealed and made it impossible for even a trace of light and shadow to peek. The driver's name is Zhou, dressed in a dark blue and imposing attire, and she is a girl of about 14 or 15 years old. Wearing a curved knife at his waist, he casually pulled on the reins with both hands, looking lazy. Beneath the bangs slanting across the forehead were a pair of eagle-like eyes, staring closely at the shadows flowing deep in the bamboo forest. The horse moved forward casually, seemingly intentionally circling around, and in a moment of burning incense, it returned to its original position. Zhou withdrew his gaze, tightened the reins, and turned around to report. The person inside the car didn't speak, but the incessant sound of fingertips tapping on the car window suddenly stopped. At the same time, there was a sudden sound in the ink forest, and countless sharpened bamboo poles rained down on the carriage. Humph, you're really haunted. Zhou's lips lightly parted, pulled out his curved sword, hung his wrist and turned, cutting off all the bamboo poles in front of him. Then lightly tap your toes and jump onto the roof of the car, shake your arms, and throw the curved blade towards more than 10 black shadows in the forest. Accompanied by the sound of knives chopping watermelons, several people in the shadows fell to the ground one after another. Taking the curved knife that had turned back, Zhou jumped off the carriage but did not take any further action, as if waiting for the passengers to give orders. Then, the sweet voice of Wu Nong came through the curtains. "This time, we must catch a live one." "Yes, girl." Qi Zheng received the order and wielded his curved sword, which had just consumed blood. The sharp blade reflected the golden light of the morning sun, making it even more terrifying to the eye. The leader of the black-clothed man saw that there was also a little girl inside the carriage. His fearful gaze gradually turned into disdain, so he called out his hidden subordinates and together surrounded the entire carriage. Qi Zheng's thin lips clenched tightly, feeling a murderous intent in his heart but not taking action. He only heard the wind move in the woods, making the blade hum. Up. The leader of the black-clothed man raised his hand to signal, and everyone immediately rushed forward. Qi Zheng didn't flinch at all. She swung the machete and spun around the carriage, cutting the throats of the people who had boarded the carriage. Immediately, his figure flashed, he held the handle of the knife and stepped out in the wind. The horizontal sword slashed towards the neck of the leader of the black-clothed man, who raised his sword to block it. However, he didn't expect Qi Zheng to suddenly turn his wrist, and the curved sword twisted up and down like a silver snake, cutting the sword body into several sections in an instant. At such a fast speed, he couldn't resist and flipped his body several times to avoid it. But seeing the little girl in front of her holding a knife, still chasing her relentlessly, she could only step back, attempting to lure the tiger away from the mountain. "Want to leave? It's not that easy." Qi Zheng flew after him, only to see that this person had excellent likeness skills and was about to disappear into the green forest. The other people in black saw that there was no one guarding around the carriage, so they all raised their swords and stabbed them together. Before the tip of the sword touched the curtain, several silver beams shot out from inside the car, like flying frost, passing through the throats of everyone. Immediately after, there was a loud bang, and the top of the carriage was lifted by a long whip, from which a petite crimson figure flew out. Lu Wanlan kicked and kicked twice in the air, then used the power of bamboo leaves to climb several steps in a row, effortlessly passing by Qi Zheng. He raised his whip and tightly wrapped the legs of the leader in black. With just a gentle tug, the person fell heavily to the ground and could no longer move. Qi Zheng caught up and easily solved two black-clothed men lurking on the side. He raised his hand and stuffed a ball of silk into the mouth of the leader of the black-clothed man lying on the ground. "This time, don't bite the poison again." Just as he was about to grab it, he saw a sharp bamboo pole with a whoosh, piercing into the person's heart, blood splattering down the hollow bamboo tube and flowing all over the ground. Qi Zheng was greatly surprised and placed his sword in front of his own girl, shouting sternly, "What kind of person?" Looking around, I saw no one except for the corpses of people in black on the ground. Lu Wanlan withdrew her whip, raised her eyebrows slightly like a distant daisy, and with a gentle movement of her ear, she locked in the person's position. Then he lifted his foot and kicked off a green bamboo, holding it in his hand. Her crimson body turned around, her wrist relaxed, and the broken bamboo flew out like an arrow shot from a full bow. The breath was overwhelming, blowing down half of the bamboo forest, and the bamboo pole directly penetrated the person's heart. Playing with a javelin, I've never lost before. This action was done in one go, neat and efficient. Qi Zheng couldn't understand what his own girl meant by a javelin, but he only understood one thing. "Miss, there are really no survivors now." Lu Wanlan let out an "ah" and gave herself a cold look. Why did she accidentally kill the other party? "Forget it, pack up and go back." Then he jumped onto the carriage. "Yes." Qi Zheng searched for the body of the leader of the black-clothed man, but did not see any tokens inside his shirt. However, he found that the same words were tattooed on the inner left wrist of these corpses, and his eyes couldn't help but show a cold light. "Miss, only the same tattoo was found." Qi Zheng bowed respectfully to the inside of the car, while Lu Wanlan's face remained calm. He only moved his neck twice before gently uttering two words. "King of Yen." Qi Zheng frowned and suppressed his anger in his tone, saying, "It's the mark of the death of the king of Yen." "Got it, let's meet up with brother 6 first and then consider it in the long run." "Yes." Qi Jing jumped onto the carriage, tightened the reins, and let out a low cha. The horse then scattered its hooves and ran out of the bamboo forest, heading east towards a luxurious carriage piled up with brocade and pearls. Seeing the corner of Lu Wanlan's mouth slightly raised and he jumped off the carriage, Lu Yun's furrowed brow finally relaxed. "Little sister. You're too stubborn. Why did you change your route without permission? If something happens, Big Brother will definitely kill me." After speaking, grab the shoulder of the landing salvo and look left and right. He is well aware of his younger sister's temperament. Although she grew up pampered, she is exceptionally sensible, and even if she is injured, she cannot say a word. "Brother Lu, I'm fine. Those assassins are not mine at all." "Oh my goodness. Little sister, you're injured." What? Upon hearing Lu Gu shout out for no reason, Lu Wanlan felt a bit puzzled. When did she get hurt? Then he turned around and saw 6 brothers' slender and fair hands trembling as he held on to his skirt, staring at a hint of crimson on top, his eyes seeming to burst into flames. For a moment, Lu Wanlan didn't know why, only feeling a faint pain in her lower abdomen. "Suddenly, I thought that my body, which I had traveled through, should have just passed by now. Is this bloodstain possibly due to lunar events? It's really embarrassing." After changing clothes and explaining to Lu Yun's with great effort, Lu Wanlan was pressed onto the soft cushion of the carriage to rest. "She solved so many assassins alone this time, I thought 6th brother would praise her." But at this moment, he looked worried and didn't dare to say much. Time quietly arrived at noon, the sky was clear, and the vast capital was right in front of us. As far as the eye can see, the Jincheng Jade Tower is towering and majestic, revealing everywhere the luxury and solemnity of the capital of the Zhou dynasty. The once bustling Pingan Street is now somewhat quiet. The Forbidden Army on both sides of the street is like a forest, covered in armor, and every 10 feet, 2 people hold hands and silver guns are erected. The people were quite curious but dared not approach, only pointing and whispering. And this kind of scene is already commonplace for aristocratic gentlemen sitting by the window in the restaurant. Dinggua Gong's younger sister returns to Beijing 7 times a year. Why are there still so many people who enjoy watching the excitement? "I don't know," which one in the restaurant casually asked. "Humph, in the entire Zhou dynasty, apart from the empresses and princesses, probably no other girl could have such a grand presence." Everyone looked at a little girl from a settled state, whose luxurious sedan was comparable to that of a royal family, and couldn't help but shudder inwardly. Isn't it because of her powerful brothers who hold a prestigious status? Yes, but even if she is such a noble woman, she may not be able to enter the eyes of our king of Yen. Hey, I heard that the girl from the Lu family had just entered the border when the king of Yen went to the Dinggua mansion to get married. I never imagined that even a young man like the king of Yen would be afraid of such a mother tiger. After speaking, the few of them burst out laughing together, their voices obscene and promiscuous. The carriage descended from the tavern, and when Lu Wanlan heard these words inside, he still looked peaceful. And Lu Yun's always bright face instantly felt like a layer of frost, and his anger couldn't be concealed in his voice. The world of his Xiao family was conquered by our Lu family. He, Xiao Yanzhi, has no power, and is too disrespectful. Brother Lu, don't speak recklessly. The new book finally meets everyone. Welcome everyone to support and encourage us. Thank you, Yunshui. End of this chapter. Chapter 2 is about marrying him. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2 is about marrying him. Lu Wanlan turned her face away, yawned hard, and blinked desperately. Her already agile eyes were covered in ripples, pitiful and delicate. This is the trick she tried every time she tried to persuade 6th brother along the way. Lu Yun's has never received such treatment before, and he is extremely angry about the assassination along the way. Seeing the little girl like this, she forcefully swallowed even more treacherous words back. Although Lu Wanlan appears petite and cute on the outside, she is actually a cold, arrogant, and quick-witted person who is decisive in killing. However, the original owner is a stubborn and arrogant daughter, and she can only act according to the situation. Perhaps this is the legendary pair of faces. Previously, Lu Wanlan received training at a secret Chinese base and was on a mission to kill transnational criminals when he crossed here. However, due to being ambushed, the mission failed. With memories of the original owner but no knowledge of Zhou, she originally thought that with the protection of a few older brothers, she could spend some time peacefully. But from Liaodong to the capital, in just over a month's time, there were 7 or 8 assassinations. The well-trained enemy is still in the dark, making her constantly vigilant. Lu Yanzhi softened his voice to comfort his younger sister as she looked like a frightened bird. My parents left early, and my elder brother is also involved in military affairs and cannot come back. 6 brothers know that you don't want to marry the king of Yan in your heart either. It's just because my father said on his deathbed that this marriage was made on horseback during the war with the late emperor and cannot be violated, that you will suffer such injustice. Lu Wanlan's father was a founding elder. Half of the territory of Dazhou was fought with real swords and guns by this great general. Now that the former emperor's dragon is in control of Tian, he is also driving a crane to the west. Leaving only 6 sons and 1 daughter, this woman is naturally Lu Wanlan. The other 6 sons are her 6 brothers, all of whom are talented and capable. Big brother Lu Yunlai, with unparalleled martial arts skills and cold-blooded ruthlessness. As the Grand General of Dingwa, he has been guarding Liaodong ever since he inherited the title. My second brother, Lu Yunfan, is charming and charming. Most of the Golan-tiled houses in the capital are the property of this passionate young master. San Go Lu Yunli is talented and unparalleled in poetry and literature. At that time, he was the Minister of Justice and highly trusted by the current emperor. Fourth brother Lu Yunzhao is skilled in business and proficient in the ways of generating wealth. Industries such as salt and iron, ticket shops, and restaurants are spread throughout the Zhou dynasty, making it one of the richest in the world. The fifth brother, Lu Yun, returned home with miraculous hands and superb medical skills. If it weren't for his young age, he would have been listed as the top imperial physician. As for the sixth brother Lu Yanzhi, although he lacks much industry and skills, he has a genuine personality and a childlike heart. He even accompanies Lu Wanlan every day, taking this daughter on a trip to the mountains and rivers. Although the 6 brothers have the ability to call for wind and rain, old Duke Dingwa confessed on his deathbed that the head of the Lu family must be none other than Lu Wanlan, and the elder brothers must always love their younger sisters like their parents. For the Lu family, there are many rumors in the market that the general of the Lu family is holding a heavy army and will not return to the capital. There are also third brothers stirring up trouble and reign in the court, while the other brothers are lecherous and lazy. On the surface, they are all loyal and patriotic, but in reality, they are all ambitious and incompetent individuals. Moreover, relying on his own power, he spoils an arrogant little yiksha. Who dares to marry a girl from such a family? The unpleasant words outside the car kept coming one after another, which made Lu Yanzhi angry. He thought of the black-clad assassin's wrist, which was pricked with a yen character, and gritted his teeth. It's just for the sake of repentance. A prince in the hall has resorted to such despicable means. It's not a good match, let's not get married. Seeing that she was pretending to be innocent and ineffective, Lu Wanlan pouted and looked out the window, saying, "No, I just want to marry him." "What?" Lu Yanzhi frowned heavily. "Did you hear me right?" Along the way, the dead soldiers of the King of Yan relentlessly pursued and attempted to eliminate them all. If it weren't for the 2 of them having some skills and bringing hundreds of shadow guards, they would have already been exposed in the wilderness. How could they have had the chance to listen to others chew their tongues here? However, today my younger sister only took Qi Zheng with her and killed the assassin completely, which surprised him quite a bit. I said, I just want to marry him, Lu Wanlan said solemnly again. This matter can still be returned. Are you serious, little sister? Lu Wanlan replied in a coquettish voice, 6 brothers don't need to be too angry, the person who assassinated is not the king of Yen. How do you say that? Lu Yanzhi became curious as he held the porcelain bowl with a white background and blue and white flowers. All the dead have tattoos, I'm afraid others don't know it was done by the king of Yen. He's in a hurry to tell the world, what's good for him to kill the quasi-queen himself? Lu Wanlan blinked and asked. Why did the true mastermind frame him? Lu Yanzhi couldn't understand. He still has some understanding of this king of Yen, Xiao Yanzhi, the 6th son of the late emperor. He was once favored by the emperor, and at a young age, he was able to manage water and aid the people. As soon as he reached adulthood, he suppressed his rebellion and was granted the title of king. His achievements could not be described for 3 days or 3 nights, and he was regarded by the people of the world as the best candidate for a crown prince. Just 7 years ago, when the late emperor was critically ill, Xiao Yanzhi took the lead in supporting his eldest son to succeed him to the throne. He then volunteered to go to Yanbei to defend the border, and only returned to the capital 3 months ago due to the approaching wedding date. It is said that this king of Yen is diligent, frugal, and self-disciplined. He never takes pride in himself, but also shows respect and submission to the emperor, and is loyal to his country and duties. Can such a virtuous and honest prince also make enemies? Lu Wanlan's face was filled with a smile, and her drooping eyelashes concealed a hint of cold gaze. 7 years ago, the king of Yen was not afraid, but now. Then he paused again and said, by now, I mean, with the Lu family. This statement is true. During the founding of the Zhou dynasty, only the children of the Lu family, including Wang, Xie, Feng, and Lu, did not marry the imperial family. Nowadays, the power of the Lu family is crucial. But the only daughter was actually pointed out to the Prince of Yen, who had the potential to inherit the throne at that time. Such a combination, regardless of its purpose, inevitably leads to imaginative thoughts. This person must have wanted to use this to provoke the relationship between the Lu family and the king of Yen. If successful, he could reap the benefits. Lu Yanzhi suddenly realized. But even if the assassin is not the king of Yen, it's a fact that he doesn't want to marry you, what should you do? Lu Yanzhi didn't pay much attention to the matter of the court, but he was 100 times uneasy about his sister. She had recognized something since childhood and never turned back until she hit the south wall. Not to mention that Xiao Yanzhi regretted his marriage earlier. Just looking at his mansion, you are not a match either. Why don't you wait a little longer, little sister? The brothers haven't even discussed marriage yet. He will. In Lu Wanlan's words, there was a hint of confidence that could not be ignored. After speaking, she quietly smiled at a corner of the street restaurant. She came across time and wouldn't abide by the agreement on her horse's back. But now the emperor of the great Zhou had some criticisms about aristocratic families and clans. Several princes were stripped of their titles and demoted to commoners, while later some meritorious officials were exiled and stripped of their families. Looking at the essence of the assassination, it can be seen that Lu Jiaxu has many enemies and is already in danger. So, Xiao Yanzhi, who carries the blame, is the enemy of the enemy and his own friend. Cars and horses walked through the bustling streets like this. But what they didn't know was that this conversation had already spread to a hidden corner of a restaurant. Tang Feng stood behind Xiao Yanzhi, lowering his head to contemplate that this little girl was not as useless as rumored. However, the thought of seeing the miserable condition of the black-clothed man's body during my investigation in the bamboo forest made me burst into a cold sweat. The means are ruthless, and one move is fatal. She is indeed the daughter of General Lu, truly brave. But she knew the prince would marry her, so where did she get that confidence? And Xiao Yanzhi's martial arts were even better than Tang Feng's, so he naturally heard the conversation in the carriage. The Lu family. Xiao Yanzhi casually put down his teacup and his dark brown eyes swept towards the magnificent convoy. In a daze, this scene had once appeared in his memory, with an inexplicable familiarity. He squinted his eyes and whispered a few words to Tang Feng. After hearing this, Tang Feng furrowed his brows slightly and then regained his composure. He only replied with the word yes before turning around and leaving. As the carriages and horses of the Dingwa mansion drifted away, the usual bustle in the tavern resumed, and the sound of chatting, laughing, and sipping tea could be heard endlessly. Everything on Pingyang Street returned to its original state. Xiao Yanzhi's originally plain face, like water, was silently shrouded in a hint of coldness and solemnity. 7 years have passed, we'll meet again. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. There are many people who encounter porcelain. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3. There are many people who encounter porcelain. It was already time for Lu Wanlan to arrive at Dingwa Prefecture. When I first returned to the capital, I should have enjoyed myself, but before I could enter this gate, the commotion was not very pleasant. Although the Lu family has a prosperous population, each brother has important matters to attend to. Only the second brother Lu Yunfan and the fourth brother Lu Yunzhao are waiting at home, and this problem lies with the second brother. Along the way, listening to the discussions of the people, Lu Wanlan had already prepared his thoughts. It's just that the king of Yen sent someone to wait for him at home, hoping to withdraw the marriage in person and offer some generous gifts as a gesture of apology. If the Lu family disagrees, they will appeal to the Holy One, saying that their personalities are really incompatible and not a good relationship. The emperor still has great respect for this younger brother, and Lu Wanlan's deeds are well known, so he may also agree. In theory, these are all serious and solemn matters that should have been discussed in court. However, far away from her doorstep, Lu Wanlan heard a commotion of crying ahead. My old lady is no longer alive. Ouch. Even if we die in Dingwa Prefecture today, we cannot let you bully people like this. Judging from this posture, it is possible that a girl from a certain family was once again attacked by her second brother, Lu Yunfan. Lu Wanlan gently rubbed her eyebrows. Perhaps she should tell her second brother about the marriage first, otherwise she would be too sorry for the girl in the capital. If this continues, the reputation of the Lu family will be ruined. Seeing the magnificent carriages and horses of the Lu family approaching, the few women who had just pretended to hang themselves in front of the gate of the Dingwa mansion threw down their white lingzi and surrounded them in a hubbub. Upon seeing this, Qi Zheng immediately pulled out his curved sword, which startled several women. Oh! Did you see it? Dingwa mansion has killed someone. Yeah. Hurry up and have someone come. The daughter of Dingwa mansion is going to kill several old ladies. If it were an ordinary provocateur, with Qi Zheng's never-ending personality, he would have kicked them one by one, leaving them looking for teeth everywhere. But in front of me was a group of women, and more importantly, there were several official ladies dressed in the attire of a destined woman. If you start using your hands, it won't be good if you're injured or dead. Facing the shrew, Qi Zheng also had no idea. Girl, look. Without waiting for Lu Wanlan to speak, Lu Yunzi, who was full of anger, suddenly jumped out and blocked Lu Wanlan's line of sight. Which family of women are you from? Come to our mansion to search for life and death, what do you want to do? The anger that could not be hidden in words shook several women into silence. But it was only for a moment. When it was clear that this person was the sixth son of the Lu family, with a 16 or 17-year-old appearance and a hint of greenness and immaturity in his eyebrows, he relied on his old age to sell off his old age and continue to pour water. One of the most valuable identities suddenly raised his voice. Oh my! The old lady won't leave today. If Dingwa Prefecture doesn't repay me with justice, I won't get up today. After speaking, he tilted his body and lay horizontally in front of the carriage. Yes. We won't get up today. The other women followed suit and fell to the ground. You guys. This kind of skill really puts people in a dilemma, forcing 7-foot Erlang Lu Yunce to be helpless and instead get into the carriage. What kind of thing is this? Seeing more and more people gathered outside the car, Lu Yunce sighed repeatedly. Second brother is really good. It's just a matter of teasing ordinary girls from Golan Courtyard. Why did you even reach into the backyard of the official family? Little sister, what should we do? 6 brothers are the least good at dealing with these women. The brothers of the Lu family, except for Lu Yunfan, have always been like this, otherwise they wouldn't have been unmarried to this day. In their hearts, spoiling a little girl is enough, and other women should avoid as far as they can. Lu Yun's expression was a bit angry, and he didn't feel good about it. Lu Wanlan, on the other hand, looked calm and composed. She had seen many incidents of touching porcelain, and what was in front of her was not enough to be afraid. She slowly lifted her cloud sleeve and lightly lifted her vermilion lips. Qi Zheng, run over it. Yes. Upon receiving orders from his own girl, Qi Zheng withdrew his sword and sat down. Raise your hand and hit the horse's buttocks with a whip. The horse suddenly felt pain and hissed, lifting its 2 front hooves high. This action frightened the fallen woman, who saw the horse hooves and wheels stepping towards her and quickly ran to the roadside. Seeing the carriage depart from the dust, I feel a sense of sorrow in my heart. The most valuable woman stroked her messy hair, feeling angry and anxious, with her nose and eyes twisted together. Oh, this little girl from Dinghua Mansion is really a mother yiksha. Another woman pinched her handkerchief and squeezed out 2 tears. No, our family's Huan Gu'er can't have any involvement with such a girl. Isn't that right? Our family only has a strong single seedling. We can't go and treat this female tiger like a cow or a horse. When everyone looked for the sound, they saw a group of 5 or 3 thick peasant women beside them, digging their noses and staring at the carriage. I don't know how much silver we can give. Cut. The women gave a white glance and followed the carriage towards the gate of Dinghua Mansion. Upon entering the door, Lu Wanlan had intended to comfort her second brother first, as it was not honorable to be blocked at the doorstep by the girls' mothers and cursing loudly. After searching for the front hall and side hall, I couldn't find any results. Instead, I found my second brother Lu Yunfan and fourth brother Lu Yunzhao in the back garden. But the scene before her completely frightened her. Second brother Lu Yunfan, dressed in splendid attire, spoke and laughed happily. He sat crooked on a carved rosewood bed, holding a stack of brocade brochures in his left hand and a pen hanging in the air in his right hand, sketching and drawing on it. The fourth brother, Lu Yunzhao, was lying on a large cypress table, playing with the abacus with his left hand and counting the silver ingots piled up like a small mountain with his right hand. He muttered, "This is good, it's worth the price." In front of them stood dozens of jade-faced beauties. Or jade trees dancing with swords in the wind, or gentle and graceful singing and dancing. There are still a few people by the pond reciting poetry and painting. Not far away, there are also dang 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 dang, chopping sticks and cooking, chopping firewood with a crackling sound. 100 herbs competing for beauty. How lively it is! Everyone saw Lu Wanlan stepping towards him, dressed in a jade robe of clear water, with picturesque eyebrows and eyes, and pink lips slightly parted like a celestial being. They all smiled and gracefully bowed like butterflies, saying, "I've seen a girl before." Rao, who had received modern ideological education and had seen some of the world, couldn't help but feel a chill in his heart when he saw this scene. I stumbled a few steps, but fortunately, I was supported by Qi Zheng, so I didn't fall over. Second brother Lu Yunfan saw his younger sister return to the mansion and threw down his pen and ink, jumping over. At the age of 23, he was not steady. "Oh my, little sister, you really miss second brother. Why did you go to March or April? I thought you were so angry by the king of Yen that you couldn't come back." "Second brother, said Lu Wanlan as she tugged at the corner of her mouth. Fourth brother Lu Yunzhao collected the silver tails, and his shrewd apricot eyes glanced over several well-behaved gentlemen before approaching, saying, "Little sister, did you have a smooth journey?" Fourth brother, we went relatively smoothly." "That's good." Fourth brother pursed his lips and smiled. "What are you?" Lu Wanlan didn't have time to chat and completely ignored his tone and demeanor, only wanting to know what these people in front of him were doing. But the second brother picked up his hand and led her to the bed, stuffing several brocade books over. "These are all carefully selected by second brother and fourth brother for you. They are both noble young masters from wealthy families, with outstanding looks and talents. Not bad, fourth brother has already helped you understand, and indeed has excellent character." Fourth brother Lu Yunzhao's eyes affirmed. "You help me choose, what are you doing with them?" Lu Wanlan put the brocade aside and suddenly had a bad feeling in her heart. "Of course, as your face, on your wedding day, I will accompany you to the palace to serve. Thank you all for supporting Yinshui's new book. Thank you for every recommendation ticket, investment collection, and encouragement. Thank you very much. No matter what order you have at mirror never stops water at ear in detail at Amuz potato at Zangbu at Uera 81 at burning the night at 10,000 words killed and stewed at new leaf 0000 at little master has become a stranger at Yang Lao Kai Bu at idle fish under the moon at wind and moon at snow white kitten at I love banyan tree at legacy of reincarnation at soy sauce queen at August fragrance. At I'm afraid it's not a potato at dog uncle lonely cold at its rapeseed flower at wind. Passing without ink at chicken leg hero at Mao Kujiu at purple mansion cloth at Lingdang 1 at old knife who can at prosperous minin at frost flower on the other side at dream of fate at 7 half a lemon at Tang Menli Xiao Bai at quiet Muhong at always regretful at heart June at lonely wind 87 at emperor Jillian at sea bowl car at Huang Qingxian at Xingyu boils tea. Thank you again. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Little Sister Truly Virtuous. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4. Little Sister Truly Virtuous, what? Lu Wanlan almost lost her breath. The women who rushed to the door and caused a scene were not because their second brother kidnapped their own girl. Is it because my son was chosen to be my own face? The sixth brother Lu Yunzi, who followed closely behind, heard that this was the reason, and the haze in his heart dissipated. He turned around and was about to go out. These ungrateful people. Their young man can be my little sister's face, it's a blessing that has been cultivated for several lifetimes, and they even come to make a scene. Let's see if I don't deal with them. Brother Lu. Come back. The second and fourth brothers have already made Lu Wanlan 2 heads tall. At this moment, if the sixth brother goes out and causes trouble again, she will really explode in place. No wonder the government and its own reputation are so tarnished. That's right, sixth brother, don't leave. You help the staff. Fourth brother Lu Yunzhao agreed. Yeah. Little sister, take a look. This is from the Duan family, the Minister of Rights. He looks amazing. Second brother Lu Yunfan casually pulled over one, but Lu Wanlan didn't even glance at it. I only tilted my eyes and pointed at these noble gentlemen with my fingers, and my words were filled with doubts. The king of Yen has already come to withdraw his marriage. Can you still prepare these for me? Upon hearing these words, Lu Yunfan smiled and his words were full of contempt. Cut. Divorce. What does he think the girl from the Lu family is? If he wants to leave, he can leave. After speaking, he leaned over to Lu Wanlan, peeled a lychee for her, and obsequiously handed it over. Sangu has already reported to the Holy Emperor that it is impossible to divorce, and it will never be possible in this lifetime. Only my little sister can divorce him. How can he justify his dismissal of my little sister? Lu Wanlan frowned slightly, impatiently taking the snow-white lychee meat and stuffing it into her mouth. But he was surprised in his heart. How could third brother effortlessly solve this matter? The fourth brother, Lu Yunzhao, was deeply taken aback and sat on the other side of Lu Wanlan, taking the lychee pit she spat out. That's right. The king of Yen is not an easy person to deal with. Your brothers will choose some servants for you, which will also dampen his morale. Don't be afraid, little sister. Your brothers will support you in everything. After listening to the words of the two brothers, Lu Wanlan couldn't believe that the folk customs of the Zhou dynasty were truly civilized like this. The guardian sand of the original owner is still here, although he has been a bit stubborn and unruly, he has never done anything out of line. If she really accepts these high-ranking and noble young masters in front of her, her reputation will really be ruined. Even if my brother wants to support himself, it's not that kind of support. Thinking of this, Lu Wanlan patted the table with 5 fingers and immediately shouted, "Bomb away, everyone." Ah! The two brothers spoke in unison, these are both good husbands from a good family. I said, blow away, didn't you hear me? I don't need any face. Lu Wanlan instantly raised her tone and gave Qi Jing a look. Qi Jing understood and picked up a noble young master with one hand, then rushed out. Brother Lu. You also help, give them the silver and let them out. Seeing that Qi Jing was alone and couldn't hold back these people, Lu Wanlan asked Lu Yunzi to help together. The noble young master present was pulled out one after another, and a few people in front of him, upon seeing this, immediately threw themselves at Lu Wanlan's feet, crying loudly. Girl, I don't ask for anything else, I only hope to serve left and right. Girl. I'm sincere. These young masters are at least big men, and their crying appearance almost made Lu Wanlan spit out the food he had eaten the day before yesterday. Those who don't leave are waiting to be whipped. As she spoke, a soft whip soaked in blood red had already appeared in her hand. A few people saw Lu Wanlan, and Yeka's face showed up, scared to the point of hiding his face and running away. As he ran, he still couldn't forget to shout, "My little sister, the Duke of China, has been in chaos all along." A farce was calmed down like this. Second brother Lu Yunfan felt that his good intentions had caused trouble and was thinking about how to coax his younger sister. However, Lu Guanlan's face gradually regained its normal look. Looking at him with a smile, his eyes were exactly the same as his elder brother's, and he could not help but clunk. Little ancestor, don't tell big brother, otherwise you will have to suffer. But seeing that Lu Wanlan was not angry, he just supported his forehead and slowly said. Second brother, if you do this, some noble young masters may lose their reputation and find it difficult to get married. You order them to go out and only say that the mansion will hold a banquet and treat them to the public, not choose any face, and then back up with generous gifts to apologize. After speaking, he went to his own boudoir. At this moment, Lu Wanlan, who had just started a lunar event, only wanted to lie in bed and squint quietly for a while. The fourth brother, Lu Yunzhao, was carrying a money bag, thinking that the spent silver was about to be washed away, feeling somewhat reluctant in his heart. However, being so sensible made the little girl even more nervous in his heart. The sun didn't come out from the west today, did it? Little girl, why? But he saw his second brother Lu Yunfan suddenly put away his folding fan, and his narrow phoenix eyes smiled at Lu Wanlan, casting a hint of appreciation. Little sister, be truly virtuous. Brother Lu's work efficiency is still very high. During Lu Wanlan's rest, he carefully arranged the arrangements for the nobles and his family. During the Yushi period, the third brother Lu Yunli also returned from his busy political affairs. When Lu Wanlan, dressed in a sky rosy thin shirt, arrived at the front hall, a table of delicacies had already been served, emitting a tempting aroma, but the brothers did not stir their chopsticks. Although the Lu family behaves recklessly, their family rules are strict. If the head of the family is present, no one is allowed to have a meal without the head of the family serving at the table. Lu Wanlan is not only the favorite of her brothers, but also the head of the Lu family. At this time, she feels a bit embarrassed about her lateness. Sangu has returned, why don't you call me? I just came back and the Ministry of Justice was busy, so I couldn't pick up my younger sister. Lu Yunli looked up with a polite smile and looked at Lu Wanlan sitting down with doting eyes. I just heard sixth brother say that you have been dangerous all the way, and indeed you have lost a lot of weight. Ah. Third brother, don't listen to sixth brother's nonsense. The journey was quite smooth. Lu Wanlan met third brother's gentle and watery gaze, only smiled sweetly, and sat down. I didn't say anything nonsense. Sixth brother Lu Yanzhi quickly defended himself, but saw third brother Yuguang give him a light glance and instantly shut his mouth, silently eating. Recalling just now, he was vividly telling his second and fourth brothers about the young girl's brave fight against the assassins. Coincidentally, the third brother returned and he caught him training him for a whole hour. Now, as soon as he saw third brother's gaze, his hair was about to stand up. Second brother Lu Yunfan and fourth brother Lu Yunzhao, at this moment, were even more atmospheric and dared not breathe. In this family, besides the eldest brother, the third one is the most capable of teaching people. Especially when it comes to matters involving Lu Wanlan and her younger sister, it's a big deal for Lao San. The three of them felt guilty and all lowered their heads without saying a word. Lu Wanlan knew that his third brother, Lu Yunli, had always been knowledgeable and reasonable, but he was not forgiving. The three brothers must have been scolded by him quite lightly, so he acted coquettishly to ease the atmosphere. Third brother, don't worry anymore. Didn't he come back well? Lu Yunli felt even more heartbroken when he saw his little sister being shy and cute, yet not reporting any good news. I have reported to the Emperor, and the Ministry of Justice, Shuntian Prefecture, and Dali Temple will thoroughly investigate this matter. The real culprit will definitely be arrested and brought to justice. I have tripled the number of people in the mansion, so please rest assured, little sister. Then, he picked up a piece of steamed shad that Lu Wanlan loved the most and said, "Are you going to Brother Liaodong's place? Is he okay?" "Big brother, everything is fine, it's just military affairs. I'll get married in a few days and won't be able to come back." "Well, my sister has been out of Beijing for more than 3 months this time, and has not seen her for many days, so she is more and more stable. Lu Yunli looks at my sister's happy eating, smiles, and then puts a crab roe pyramid dumplings in Lu Lanlan's hand. It's not urgent to get married." Just as Lu Wanlan was about to pick it up, the crystal-clear little dumpling was stopped by the sixth brother Lu Yanzhi with a chopstick. "Little sister, you can't eat cold food." "What's wrong, little sister?" Third brother Lu Yunli's face changed instantly. Me. I'm fine." Lu Wanlan felt embarrassed in her heart. How can I say about this month's event? Although she is decisive in her actions, she has always been a delicate girl when facing her brothers, and this kind of thing cannot be said. For some reason, her little face suddenly turned red. Where's Brother Wu? Why hasn't Brother Wu come back yet?" Seeing Lu Wanlan's embarrassed and painful expression, Lu Yanzhi guessed that the younger sister must be shy and quickly moved Lu Yun back to interrupt. Seeing Lu Wanlan's face turn purple with a blush, and recalling the words of his sixth brother, the third brother Lu Yunli seemed to have thought of something, and the corner of his mouth curved. "My little sister has become a big girl." Then he said calmly, "On the way back with me just now, fifth brother was summoned to the Yen prince's mansion." The other three brothers saw that there was nothing major and silently cooked rice. "What's up, so urgent?" Lu Wanlan took up the conversation. "Oh, it's not a big deal either. It's just that someone from the palace said that the old disease of the king of Yen has recurred, and his condition is becoming more severe. I'm afraid it won't work." End of this chapter. Chapter 5. If there is no flaw, then there is a flaw. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5. If there is no flaw, Then there is a flaw. When the fifth brother Lu Yungue returned to Dingwa Prefecture, the sky was already dawn. But as soon as I entered the door, I saw my third brother Lu Yunli waiting for me. Hurrying back all the way, with sweat beads still hanging on her delicate face, she rushed in without wiping it off. Third brother, your concern is indeed correct. Lu Yungue entered the door and sat down, handing over the medicine box to the servant with a solemn expression. 2 pregnant concubines in the palace suddenly gave birth prematurely tonight. As soon as I arrived at the Yen prince's mansion, I was pulled back to the palace and didn't even see the Yen prince's face. There must be something fishy going on. Lu Yunli paused for a moment. Is there any explanation of the cause of the king of Yen? Upon hearing this question, Lu Yungue sighed. I'm not sure about the details, but I heard that he was practicing swordsmanship at home. The Minister of Rights, the Duan family, was in a big uproar, saying that his Erlang had become the face of a prospective princess. The prince was angry and couldn't hold back his internal strength for a moment, vomiting blood, afraid of a relapse of heart disease. Sangu Lu Yunli sipped his tea and couldn't hear any ripples in his tone. Do you believe such words? I don't believe it. Although the matter on my face caused a lot of uproar, it calmed down in the evening. The second son of the family also said that there was nothing else. Lu Yun felt annoyed and didn't know what to do. Now that the prince doesn't allow me to treat him, it's hard to say how his condition is. I just want to become a relative. Why are there so many setbacks? Lu Yunli chuckled lightly and said calmly. Others are afraid of the marriage alliance between the Lu family and the king of Yen, so it's just a matter of obstructing it. Now even he himself is pushing around, hoping to completely distinguish himself from the Lu family. What exactly is he doing this for? Wugo Lu Yungue couldn't understand. The king of Yen has always had a deep understanding of the city and a meticulous mind. Perhaps he wanted to express his loyalty to the Holy One. Lu Yunli seemed to have thought of something and then said. Tomorrow, the Yen prince's mansion will definitely report to the Holy Emperor. The prince has hurt my younger sister's heart first and is plagued by a serious illness. I must not let my younger sister enter and become a widow. Therefore, I earnestly request the Holy Emperor to revoke the imperial order. If the emperor inquires about the cause of the Yen king's illness, he will naturally attribute it to his younger sister. Has he gained a good reputation for loyalty and generosity? Asked the fifth brother, Lu Yungue. Not bad. How unreasonable. Lu Yungue slammed the teacup heavily. This Xiao Yanzhi has such a malicious mind. Sangu Lu Yunli was about to say something when he saw Lu Wanlan wearing a cloak beside him, silent. Little sister, why are you here? Didn't I tell you to ignore this matter? As she spoke, she led Lu Wanlan to her seat and ordered someone to bring a cushion for her to lean against. Seeing that the little sister was silent, she whispered softly, I'll leave this matter to my brothers to help you solve. You don't have to worry about it, little sister. Third brother, I'm fine, I just can't sleep, said Lu Wanlan. Her red lips curved and she didn't pout and wipe away her tears as usual. Turning to his fifth brother Lu Yungue, he opened the door and asked directly. Brother Wu, if the king of Yen gets sick, his mansion will definitely buy a lot of medicinal herbs today, right? This. Lu Yungue couldn't understand why the younger sister asked and furrowed her thick eyebrows. Is there a servant in his mansion who has been boiling medicine for the prince? Is that medicine for treating heart diseases? This. Wugu Lu Yungue looked at Sangu in confusion and saw Sangu gesturing to Lu Wanlan to continue speaking. Wugu can go to the Thai hospital tomorrow to check the prince's medical record and see if the medicine used by the prince is really as reported by the outside world. Lu Wanlan took the hot water handed over by the third brother, took a small sip, thought for a moment, and then said. The body of the prince is a precious treasure, and the medicinal herbs used must be extremely valuable. All the medicines in the palace are purchased by our family. You can also ask the fourth brother to pay attention tomorrow. Not bad, what I said is indeed reasonable, said the fifth brother. Also, with lowered eyelids, Lu Wanlan's eyes flickered and he said, the birth mother of the king of Yan, Lady Shu, has been living in the palace for a long time. Her son is critically ill and will definitely go to the palace. Let's see if she has left the palace. Everything that Lu Wanlan said, third brother Lu Yunli had already thought of it, but at this moment, he saw that the little girl could also be calm and organized. No longer a little girl who only knows crying, he couldn't help but nod for sure. Little sister has indeed grown up. As expected by the third brother Lu Yunli, the Yan prince's mansion sent someone to report to the emperor the next day. The attitude of Kuxingshang surprised people greatly. I wonder if there were suddenly 2 more princesses, and he was overjoyed. As for this matter, just let your 2 families discuss it and hastily end the topic, leaving the nobles in the capital confused. In the next 2 days, apart from the 6th brother Lu Yun's, he wandered around to tidy up Lu Wanlan's dowry. The other brothers all tried their best to inquire and only wanted to uncover the flaw in King Yan Xiao Yanzhi's feigning illness. My second brother, Lu Yunfan, is wandering in the dilapidated houses and brothels of Gulan, a famous mansion. But anyone who has some connections with the king of Yan, regardless of whether they enter his territory, whether they are gentle in the countryside or in the library, is tricked into speaking in various ways. The scout sent by his third brother Lu Yunli searched the entire Prince of Yan's mansion. In order to find out where the medicine residue was, he pretended to pick the night incense and seduced the woman on the stove, but was beaten to death by her husband and dared not fight back. The capital is 100 miles away, and the shopkeepers of major stores have had some bad luck recently. They have been favored by the 4th master of the Lu family, and their business has been flowing continuously. Amidst the interplay of toasts and banquets, the daily necessities of food and clothing in the Yan prince's mansion were thoroughly shaken. Recently, the 5th brother, Dr. Lu, has been quite helpless. He has been being chased by those stubborn old people in the hospital all day, asking him to help take a look. The Yan king's condition is recurrent, and if he really dies, he will also lose his head. That medical case and prescription, not to mention being easily captured, even the prince knows everything about his eating, drinking, and urination. Rao was so aggressive, but he couldn't find any trace of flaws. King of Yan, he doesn't even have a maid to live with. Second brother Lu Yunfan couldn't believe it. He shouldn't, not just have a mental illness, right? I don't know whether to be happy or worried. He is Xiao Yanzhi, a grand prince, which is too shabby. Look, the annual expenses of this royal mansion are not enough for my younger sister to go out and have a trip. 4th brother Lu Yunzhao flipped through the purchasing list of the Yan prince's mansion, looking disgusted. Lu Wanlan looked at his 2nd and 4th brothers, but was not angry. He casually asked, are there any flaws, right? Yeah, there's really no flaw at all. 2nd brother scratched his head and fell onto the soft couch. Isn't that right? Is it really difficult for Xiao Yanzhi to die? 4th brother threw the order in his hand and calculated, or else he would just withdraw from the marriage. Why haven't the 3rd and 5th come back yet, and the eldest brother isn't here? What should we do now? The 2nd brother's eyes widened and he was a bit worried. If Xiao Yanzhi really fell seriously ill and the younger sister got married, wouldn't she have jumped into the fire pit? At this moment, Qi Jing walked over to Lu Wanlan and whispered a few words in his ear. The 2 of them raised their eyebrows and curved their mouths when they saw their little sister. This bad girl, did she have a devilish idea? Little sister, what did you ask Qi Jing to do? If you have any news, come and listen. 4th brother's eyes lit up. 2nd brother also got up busy and came over. There's no flaw in this, it's just a flaw, said Lu Wanlan without showing off. The 2 were puzzled. What kind of person is Xiao Yanzhi? He retreated from the battle to seize the throne, and even the nobles cut off their fiefs and ranks without harming him at all. It can be imagined that this person's strength is remarkable. Little sister's point is that he knew we would investigate the truth and falsehood, so he had arranged it a long time ago, asked the second brother. Not bad, this person is taking the lead step by step, taking advantage of every opportunity, and everything is considered well. Lu Wanlan nodded. So, what should we do? Asked the fourth brother. Lu Wanlan smiled and took the stack of purchase orders and receipts brought by Zhou, showing them to the two of them. Fourth brother Lu Yunzhao picked it up and couldn't help but smack his tongue after reading the names on it. Little sister, what are you doing to buy these birthday materials for? Our family is having a wedding, it's so unlucky. Second brother Lu Yunfan snatched it away and saw the words on it. His eyebrows jumped and he said, Little sister, what are you doing? Is it difficult? Are you going to marry into the Yan prince's mansion while sitting on the coffin? Lu Wanlan smiled brightly and took back the list, saying, Second brother, you're right. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Preparation before big marriage. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6 Preparation before big marriage. The two older brothers know that my younger sister has always acted her own way, but she has never acted so recklessly before. But listening to Lu Wanlan explain the reason. Xiao Yanzhi said there aren't many days left to live. In this situation, the whole family should arrange their affairs early. The coffins and tombs, as well as the white flags of the underworld coins, are essential, but they have never gone to buy them. Then he threw out another roster. These people are all underage children from the Xiao family's royal family. The king of Yan has no queen. If his life is really not long, he will definitely choose one as a descendant to pay his respects. However, there have been no children entering the Yan prince's mansion recently, the second brother suddenly realized. I haven't heard that they buy sushi at their mansion, so he must be pretending. Fourth brother was surprised, Little sister, you are really amazing. Looking at Lu Wanlan slowly collecting the roster, his eyes lit up like a pool of spring water, and his smile beamed. He said, even so, it doesn't prove anything, so we need to do something big. Then he said to Zhou, ask someone to bring some top-quality medicinal herbs to the Prince of Yan's mansion. If the Prince of Yan doesn't come to greet him on his wedding day, I will personally give him a big gift. Yes, Zhou accepted the order. Within the capital, there are a total of 126 districts, except for the inner and outer imperial cities. Clear distinctions and scattered stars. Surrounded by the imperial palace as the center. Most of the court offices are located in the east of the city, so most of the nobles build mansions in nearby neighborhoods. The Dingwa mansion of the Lu family is located in this bustling area. However, Xiao Yanzhi is an exception. His mansion is located in the western corner of the city, with a relatively high terrain but far from the market. Originally a sparsely populated and peaceful place, many spectators gathered at dusk. At the gate of the Prince of Yan's mansion, a girl dressed in dark blue attire, with a curved sword attached to her waist, stood upright like a fierce and evil spirit. At the feet were some scattered brocade boxes, and a millennium-old ginseng was faintly visible being thrown to the ground. This girl, everyone knows her, is the guard of Miss Lu in Dingwa Prefecture. We Yener can't bear the things you ordered from the government. It was the Queen Yan's birth mother, Lady Shu, who was speaking. At this moment, tears welled up in her eyes and she held back her grief. Upon learning that his precious son had fallen ill like this due to Lu Wanlan's illness in Dingwa Prefecture, as a mother, he had already suffered from toothache. Now, not only did the people of the Lu family not come to apologize, but they even sent a servant to the mansion to act recklessly. It's like poking a knife into one's own heart. The emperor disregards this family, and even the empress dowager cannot afford to be sick. Whose son, who cares? Rao, who had been following the rules and regulations in the palace, had already lost her grace. Go back and tell your girls. Even if I risk my life, I won't let her enter the gate of the royal palace. Let her die this heart. After speaking, let the guards in the mansion tightly shut the door. Turning around, Lady Shu inside the door softened and burst into tears. What have I done? The late emperor found such a poisonous woman for Yan heir. Madam, be careful of your body. A maid quickly helped her up. Empress, hurry up and take a look, prince. Just as it calmed down for a while, another maid rushed over in a panic. Princess Shu took 3 steps and 2 steps, running straight towards Xiao Yanzhi's door. Yener, how are you doing? As soon as I entered the door, I saw several old doctors with pale faces in fear. When I saw Lady Shu return, I fell to my knees with a crash. Empress Dowager, the prince cannot get the medicinal juice in now, I'm afraid it's not good. What does bad mean? Empress Dowager Shu shed tears and threw herself in front of her son. She saw that Xiao Yanzhi's face was as pale as iron, and her eyes were deeply sunken. As if passing away in an instant. Without catching a breath, he pouted over. Empress, Empress. The Yan prince's mansion on the west side of the city is in chaos. The Dingguo prefecture on the east side of the city has been bustling with people coming and going these past few days. No matter what kind of silk, gold, silver, or jewelry he had, they all rushed into it like flowing water, causing everyone to look sideways. Strangely enough, even the king of Yan is about to die. Not only did the Lu family not make plans to withdraw, but their older brothers also helped their younger sister with her dowry. I really can't figure it out. In these days, there are still people rushing to become widows. Looking at the strange treasures in the room and the bright red wedding dress, Lu Wanlan didn't pay much attention. But instead, he pulled Qizheng and his 6th brother Lu Yunce to the backyard, watching the craftsmen create a grand gift for the king of Yan. These masters are all familiar to our family. Don't worry, little sister. You'll be satisfied with them, said 6th brother Lu Yunce, patting his chest. Master Lu, 6th master. The craftsman saw Lu Wanlan and his group coming and respectfully bowed before continuing to tinker and beat. Lu Wanlan nodded in satisfaction. Then, he looked at dozens of embroiderers on the other side, surrounded by a formal dress, threading needles and beads, and applying stickers. Her exquisite craftsmanship made her secretly admire this flying Luo Yun embroidery, which had long been lost in her own era. The work progress that is nearing completion has left Lu Wanlan even more amazed by the financial resources and network of the Lu family. Except for the Lu family, perhaps only the imperial family can accomplish everything they want in just 2 days. After patrolling around, Lu Yunce sighed again. Hey, you can't say there's such a coincidence. Little sister, you got married tomorrow, and my 3rd brother was sent to Shaanxi by the emperor. When can't we investigate the corruption case of officials? Why should we investigate it in the next few days? Seeing that Lu Wanlan didn't say anything, he muttered to himself, and the salt fields in Jiangnan, why did something happen today? 4th brother has always personally handled the matter of salt and iron, so he must go. This is all a big deal, 3rd brother and 4th brother should go, said Lu Wanlan gently. That's all big news. Besides, in the palace, must the Empress Dowager be guarded by the 5th brother when she's sick? I think they did it on purpose. The Empress Dowager's status is precious, and she is also the 5th brother's guardian of the Ping and Pulse on weekdays. If she really falls ill, she should naturally be guarded by the 5th brother. Lu Wanlan casually guided the embroiderers and then walked to the paper binding room, looking at the results of the whole room and nodding in satisfaction. Now, there's only me and my 2nd brother left at our mansion to marry you off. Lu Yunce casually found a big stone to sit on, feeling a bit unhappy. I can't believe it, 3rd brother, he just left with such peace of mind. Little sister, if the king of Yan doesn't let you in the end and you can't get married, wouldn't it be a big joke? Lu Wanlan smiled and said, a few days ago, I sent a message to the Yan prince's mansion, and the prince will naturally respond accordingly. However, whether to marry or not is not important. What is important is to restore the reputation of the Lu family. If we win this battle, our path will not narrow. Lu Yanzhi seems to understand but still doesn't understand. My little sister has been mysterious these past few days. She even made these birthday gifts in the yard. Can't the Yen prince's mansion afford them? Little sister, what about second brother? These past few days, I've seen him always going out to find his songwriters, dancers, and storytellers. He's also too indifferent to your marriage. Second brother. Lu Wanlan seemed to think of something and smiled meaningfully. I asked him to go. Ah. Lu Yanzhi's face was full of questions at this moment. My younger sister's big wedding is approaching, but my brothers are all busy and don't take this matter seriously at all. Looking at the white silk paper figures all over the yard, under the dim light, there was a strange aura. Lu Yanzhi has goosebumps all over his body. Why does the whole family look strange? Seeing that all the items were ready, Lu Wanlan was confident. After the two finished their inspection, they had some dinner and went back to their respective rooms to rest. Returning to the room, Lu Wanlan looked at her immature face in the mirror, like a porcelain doll. It's hard to imagine what the original owner did to make people chase him all the way. And the married partner seems to want to get rid of her quickly. If she were still alive, she would eventually become a victim of power struggles. Since I have traveled through her, come and guard everything about her. Xiao Yanzhi, the game has just begun. In the copper mirror, the pink thin lips burst into a cold smile. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. The little sister of the Duke of China marries. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7. The little sister of the Duke of China marries in the 7th year of the Jingde reign of the great Zhou dynasty, on the 2nd day of the 8th month, at a quarter past the hour of evening. The sky is clear and the breeze is pleasant. With the first ray of sunshine in the morning, Dinghua Mansion hung its first big red lantern, and then the words of happiness and red silk in the mansion were like splashing ink, instantly turning the entire mansion into a fiery red. The peach blossoms are scorching, the wedding clothes are not as hot as fire. In her boudoir, Lu Wanlan had already tied up her flowing cloud bun, her eyebrows like distant mountains, and her red lips like fire. The phoenix crown on the head is like ice and snow, with pearls and finely ground white jade clustered together to form a lifelike phoenix. 9 phoenix tails are all adorned with large East pearls. 3 pairs of glazed steps are placed on both sides of the hair bun, adorned with pearl crystals. The transparent gemstones emit a colorful radiance. 2 maids, one on the left and the other on the right, gently draped the snow-white wedding clothes that dozens of embroiderers had driven out onto Lu Wanlan's soft shoulders. Silk-pleated skirt, layered but not bulky. The auspicious peonies on the waist are all embroidered with silver thread, adorned with snowflake gemstones that are as thin as ice crystals. With every move, the pendant rings with a ding-dong sound. A wide-sleeved outer garment is like a silver phoenix draped over a body, with each phoenix feather also spread out by silver thread. With thousands of needles and thorns, it is crystal clear like jade, as if it will flutter and soar with every move of Lu Wanlan. 2 hours have passed since this attire was completed. The bride has left the pavilion. With a loud shout from Xinyang, the gaze of everyone in the courtyard was drawn to this celestial figure. Second brother Lu Yunfan and sixth brother Lu Yanzhi were as foolish as a fool, watching their little sister give them a sweet smile. I was still regretful, but today I can't see my little sister put on a big red wedding dress. But I didn't want to. This snow-white wedding dress was even more sacred, making people dare not take a second look. Let's go, Lu Wanlan said to her 2 brothers, looking up with a fearless gleam in her eyes. After speaking, he strode towards the main entrance. It is known throughout the entire capital that the young sister of the Duke of China got married today. But as the King of Yen was about to return to heaven, he couldn't welcome him personally. Everyone was overjoyed by the joke of this little yaksha and had already surrounded the Dinghua mansion early in the morning. I don't know, what is Guogong Xiaomei doing? No, a row of red dowries and a row of white paper people are really scary. With the financial resources of the Lu family, the only daughter got married, and the priceless dowry of 10-mile red makeup has already made people envious. However, as long as the red dowry procession, there is also a funeral procession covered in white silk. Wearing red decorations on one side and wearing mourning clothes on the other. How strange it looks. This young lady of the Duke of the country is really a ruthless person. Are you really going to see the prince off as a widow? If that's the case, she would also be a chaste martyr. Everyone was discussing when suddenly the vermilion door opened. The little sister of the Duke's family, dressed in white, was escorted out of the mansion by two older brothers and boarded the magnificent golden carved red sedan chair. What came out together was a huge golden silk Nanmu coffin carried by 18 sedan bearers. The same inlaid gold inlaid treasure, carved red silk. Everyone felt a chill in their hearts. Then two red and white happy women shouted loudly. Get up the sedan. Lift the coffin. Before noon, the already bustling Pingan Street has reached a level of bustling crowds today. The wedding procession on the east side of the city couldn't even see a trace, and could only hear a burst of joyful blows and cries for burial. The two loud movements were very uncoordinated, causing people to be startled and jump. I don't know which funeral company it is, I'm really tired of it. I ended up colliding with the wedding procession of the young sister of the Duke of China. I won't make a fuss about it until later. The common people in Pingtu always watch the excitement and don't mind the big things. However, it is rare to see aristocratic gentlemen in the restaurants on both sides of this street. The Holy Emperor and Empress Dowager have always had a vague attitude towards the marriage of Dinghua Mansion and Yanwang Mansion, which has made the nobles, officials of all sizes, and nobles in the capital restless in the mansion. One is determined to marry, while the other is on the brink of death. No matter which side you go to, you will offend the other side, but no one can afford to offend you. For a moment, these officials from all walks of life in the court, who were fiercely opposed and had their own opinions, surprisingly had never had a unified opinion. Why not go anywhere, just wait at home. Let's see how they mess up. There are only two possible outcomes, either a wedding or a funeral. I never expected it. Today's wedding and funeral were all arranged together. When the joy and sorrow played intermittently, the officials living near the main street in the east of the city finally couldn't sit still. They all came out one after another, wanting to see what kind of tricks had happened to this little girl from the country. Look at the excitement, it's not illegal. When Lu Wanlan's wedding procession arrived at the entrance of the Duan family, the Minister of Rites, the Lord Shangshu was standing at the door with his family, looking around. Seeing the two long red and white dragons approaching from afar. Red envelopes and dark coins flew all over the sky, and the startled old man blew his beard and stared, his fingers trembling and trembling as he stomped his feet. This. What kind of system is this? What kind of system is it? Seeing my little grandson holding a red envelope in one hand and paper money in the other, I was extremely happy and angrily slapped him. Just as I finished beating my grandson, when I looked up, I saw a huge coffin walking alongside Lu Wanlan's sedan chair. Judging from this posture, the Lu family was going to see off their marriage and the end of their life in a dragon boat. The scene was so shocking that the old man immediately covered his chest and fainted. The other officials secretly watched as the coffin passed by their own doorstep, so frightened that they quickly retracted their heads into the crack of the door and slammed it shut. The king of Yen got into a tough situation, and before he could breathe out, he made a big fuss and bid farewell. Sure enough, this bustling scene isn't that beautiful either. Lu Wanlan sat in the red sedan chair, watching the flying chickens and dogs all the way, couldn't help but laugh to herself. However, on second thought, it was fortunate that these civil servants were all timid, otherwise if something went wrong later, she would really not be able to afford it. Riding a horse to protect the sixth brother Lu Yunce on the side, he saw Lu Wanlan probing his head and asked with concern. "Sister, are you hungry? I'll ask someone to bring you some dim sum mats." "No need, brother 6. Lu Wanlan gently shook the white feather mask fan in her hand, dressed in such a hot outfit. "My brother-in-law's mansion is far away, let's walk for an hour. Hurry up and have some food, don't be hungry." With these words, Lu Yanzhi jumped off his horse, took a handful of dim sum from a bride and gave them to Lu Wanlan. Lu Wanlan took the dim sum and ate it cheerfully. Seeing the sixth elder brother glancing at the bride with a puzzled face, she asked. "What are you looking at, brother 6? "Ah. Oh, it's nothing, it's actually the dowager of our Lu family. She looks strong and sturdy," he said before getting on the horse again. Lu Wanlan smiled without saying anything, then lifted the sedan curtain on the other side and asked, "Second brother, are you ready on your end?" Lu Yunfan lifted his wide sleeves adorned with golden tassels, held a fan in one hand, and danced like a golden peacock. "Don't worry, little sister, I'll satisfy you this time." As soon as Lu Yunfan thought of the wonderful and unparalleled words in the notebook, he couldn't conceal his joy in his heart. "I can't believe it, my younger sister's literary talent is even better than my third, and her level of elegance is no less than mine." In addition to being happy, he raised his hand and sprinkled a stack of red envelopes onto the crowd of onlookers, laughing happily as if he was not marrying Lu Wanlan, but himself. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. The truth turns out to be like this. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8. The truth turns out to be like this. On Pinyin Street, there is a bustling crowd, and the people are eagerly waiting for the wedding procession of the young sister of the Duke of China. After waiting for a long time, I only heard its sound, but couldn't see its trace for a long time, so I gradually began to become anxious. After watching the bustling street vendors for most of the day, the small vendors also resumed selling. Ancestral craftsmanship, big, soft, white and tender meat buns, insoles, selling insoles that can be choked. Hey, selling dog burial brother, selling dog burial brother. Among them, there are still a few people who look around, but at first glance, they don't seem to agree casually with those who do small business. Selling oneself to bury a dog, selling oneself to bury a dog, why haven't you come yet? Look, it's already noon. A vendor dressed in a gray cloth robe, with a sly expression, shuttles through the walls of people, occasionally saying a few words. Isn't that right? Ah, yo, just to join in the fun, I haven't even had breakfast yet. Ah, the young woman twisted her waist and swayed her hips again, waving a lotus-pink handkerchief. Then the person answered loudly, with a deliberately elongated tone that exuded a charming charm. The young men who were watching the excitement were feeling a bit hungry when she said this, not knowing whether they were really hungry or not. The young woman immediately coquettishly said to the air beside her, "I heard that the Tianfu building in Dinghua Mansion is hosting a grand banquet today, and we won't accept any money. Let's go and take a look." Surprisingly, such a good thing happened. Tianfu Tower, then we should go and take a look. Instead of waiting here, it's better to go eat and wait at the same time. I heard that the storyteller from Tianfu Tower told excellent jokes. When everyone heard this, it was this logic. So they walked in groups of 3 or 2. The Tianfu Tower, located on Pinyin Street by the Lu family, is known as the first meal in the capital and is usually hard to find. The person who serves as the shopkeeper of Tianfu Tower is an old loyal servant with the surname Lu, who is shrewd and smooth. It goes without saying that since the big and small affairs of the restaurant passed through his hands, there have been no major issues. A few days ago, the shopkeeper received an order from the fourth master, Lu Yunzhao. Her younger sister got married, and the guests who came in must be respectful and serve her well, without any negligence. Dim sum should not only be eaten at the table, but also be carried around by them. So early in the morning, the shopkeeper urged the waiter to wrap dim sum with the red paper that wrote the story of the Tianfu mansion and the storybook. According to fourth master, this is called an advertisement, with a broad meaning, which is exactly the wonderful idea of Lord Lu. It has to be said that the head of the family is truly the head of the family. He even wants to help his mother's family make a fortune by getting married. At around lunchtime, the shopkeeper saw the girls from Huani building coming leisurely, followed by various old and young men. His eyes were as wide as copper coins, and he greeted them with a smile. The girl who was trained by the second master has extraordinary skills. In no time, this already bustling Tianfu Tower was filled with high and popular guests. To entertain guests, just fine wine and cuisine are not enough. There are also various ways to warm up the atmosphere during the banquet. The acrobatics, singing and dancing were all lively. At this moment it was the turn of the storyteller, Old Meng Tu, who is known as the #1 mouth in the capital, to perform on stage. Pop. With a stunning clap from the storyteller, everyone listened attentively. Difficulty is difficult, morality is profound. If we don't talk about our close friends, we can't talk about them. If we talk about our close friends a few words, it's in vain if we don't talk about them. Color, and color are timeless. A gentleman loses virtue and a petty person is always happy. Even a big man cannot handle it. A beautiful woman has been locked up. Today, let's talk about why this young lady of the Duke of China has carried the coffin in mourning and insisted on making the widow of the King of Yen. This is a shocking melon. The ignorant onlookers, upon hearing that old Meng was about to tell the story of the famous Mother Yeka and the King of Yen in the capital, couldn't resist their fervent curiosity and applauded one after another. Since ancient times, there have been 6 rituals for weddings, but what we are going to talk about now is that this shocking marriage is actually going the opposite way. He had no intention of accepting a marriage proposal, no questions about fame or fortune, no betrothal gifts, and no selection of auspicious dates. Now that the groom cannot afford to get sick, he still needs the bride to get married alone. Such behavior is truly astonishing. The rumors about the two of them have long been controversial in the public. But it seems like a marriage that caused a lot of trouble in the city, but I don't expect there to be an unknown secret hidden behind it. I want to know what will happen next. Now, let me join you as an official. To tell the beginning of this story, we have to start from Liaodong. 3 months ago, the young sister of the Duke of Gua set off from the capital, exploring the mountains and rivers all the way, heading straight to Duke Ding. There was nothing major on the way, but on the way back, she was attacked by the unknown assassin. At this point, old Meng put away his folding fan and gestured with both hands in front of him. Time flies. Just as such a long sword is about to pierce through the chest of the young lady of the Duke. But all they heard was a loud bang. A tall and handsome man Ba fell from the sky. He fell straight into the carriage of the young lady of the Duke of China. The two of them fell in love at first sight, secretly flirting with each other, coming very soon calling. Ah, that. Old Meng tilted one eye and stole a glance under the table. In his heart, he cursed inwardly, saying that the words written by Lord Lu were all in a mess. Hey, don't worry about him. I saw this person, with a body as majestic as a copper wall and an iron wall, legs 8 feet long. Arms 8 feet long. Hold the delicate body of the young lady of the country in your arms. But give your heart to the assassin. Block a sword alive. And this heavenly hero is no one else. It is the King of Yen, Xiao Yanzhi, who has a marriage agreement with the young sister of the Duke of China, Lu Wanlan. As soon as these words were spoken, everyone was in an uproar. Isn't it true that the King of Yen doesn't want the little sister of the Duke's family? Yeah. It's not like a few days ago, I was so angry about my face that I couldn't get up. But, it's not, is it? Otherwise, how could there be today, this? No way. But when old Meng shouted loudly, the onlookers held their breath and dared not speak. In fact, the two of them had already made a vow to stay together for the rest of their lives. The King of Yen was struck by a sword and was in danger. In order to prevent the young sister of the Duke from entering the door, he became widowed and decided to leave alone. But I don't want to. A man's family is full of righteousness, and a daughter's heart is full of deep affection and righteousness. Nowadays, this pair of unfortunate Mandarin ducks may have to be separated by yin and yang. It really makes the listeners sad and shed tears. The spectators present were moved upon hearing this. A few more dressed up and trembling little ladies, covering their faces and sobbing. But then, the young sister of the Duke of China has already attached herself to the King of Yen and vowed to stay with him. Today, I will wear a white crown, jade boots, white clothes, a golden coffin, and go to the door to bid farewell to the King of Yen. I am a widow. It can be said that I wish to be like a winged bird in heaven, and like a connected branch on earth. Heroes fight their lives to save each other, and beautiful women are buried as good partners. Pop. As Lao Mengto's hand trembled with fear, the sound fell into place. A wave of cheers echoed inside the Tianfu building. How could the truth be like this? This love is both singing and crying, making people unable to help but listen. At this moment, the sound of the wedding suona was blowing outside the window. I don't know who shouted, "The little girl from the Duke's family is here." She even threw red envelopes. Come and grab them. The onlookers looked towards the street one after another, and some even ran out directly. For a moment, the sound of gongs and drums inside and outside the restaurant was deafening. The crowd downstairs not only praised Miss Lu for her love and righteousness, but also surpassed the men. More often than not, it was because they received red envelopes and cheered repeatedly. On the other hand, at a table in the corner, a guest sat alone, unable to blend in with the noisy surroundings. This person is dressed in a gray-black outfit, with wide cheeks and thick lips, and a square face with sharp edges that exudes darkness. The tightly clustered eyebrows make it difficult to approach. Put down the tea bowl, take the dim sum that the waiter forced into his arms, and leave in a hurry. Tang Feng rode a fast horse with 4 hooves clattering, and soon arrived at the Yen Prince's mansion in the west corner of the city. Upon entering the gate, he confidently arranged for the palace guards to "Everyone cheer up. Take good guys. The people of the Lu family will come soon, and we must not let them break in." Yes. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. The truth starts to run away. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. The truth starts to run away. A few imperial physicians have long heard of the commotion outside, and now they are either leaving or staying. They don't know what to do. After wandering at the entrance of the Yen King's courtyard for a long time, it was easy to expect Tang Feng to finally return, and then his face showed joy. The hospital director of that hospital came first and said with a helpless expression, "Oh my, Tang Guard, I have looked forward to your return. The old mother in this family suddenly can't eat today. I see that the prince's condition has improved, so I need to go home first to take care of her. I will go back as soon as I go." Tang Feng bowed his hand and looked at the doctors behind him sitting on pins and needles, but still wanted to persuade them to stay. The prince is doing well today. Thanks to the help of the imperial physician, but the Empress Dowager is still. Before Tang Feng could finish speaking, the envoy took over the conversation. "Hi, Empress Dowager is fine. I prescribed a few pairs of medicine and asked people to take it on time for Empress Dowager to recover in a few days." As he spoke, he handed Tang Feng the prescription, medicinal herbs, and rice paper with the decoction method written on it. Continuing to bow and bow, he said, "Farewell, farewell." The hospital envoy took the lead, while the other court judges and imperial doctors dared not stay and said goodbye before running out with a medicine box on their back. Only Tang Feng remained stunned on the spot. Cough. Xiao Yanzhi inside the room coughed in a timely manner. Tang Feng saw that the prince had woken up and walked into the door, bowing his head to report, "Prince." At this moment, Xiao Yanzhi had already stood up and sat upright, wearing a night purple robe that made his face weak and pale. His dark brown pupils were like a cold midnight star, shining with sharp sharpness. Tang Feng saw that the prince only nodded lightly and continued to say. Miss Lu's troops have arrived at Pingyang Street, but her subordinates have arranged for good men to ambush along the street. They will not let them step into the Wang mansion. Well, it won't take any human life. Xiao Yanzhi's voice was as calm as water, and he was very confident in Tang Feng's ability. Yes. Then, Tang Feng obediently told Xiao Yanzhi what he had heard in Tianfu Tower and what he had seen along the way. Xiao Yanzhi had a pale face and lowered his eyes, saying, you've actually learned to think with your heart. Tang Feng didn't understand the meaning of the prince's words, but saw his eyes staring at his hands, wrapped in red paper with dim sum, and seemed very interested. He opened the dim sum, flattened the red paper full of words, and respectfully handed it over. Please see, my lord, they also wrote those stories on red paper, wrapped up dim sum and sent them out. They must want to spread the story all over the streets so that they can intimidate you to obey. It's quite scheming. Xiao Yanzhi, who was expressionless, ignored Tang Feng. His fingers brushed over the red paper in front of him, picked up a piece of dim sum, stuffed it in his mouth and chewed it carefully. Well, the taste is good. Upon seeing this, Tang Feng suddenly remembered that the prince had not yet entered the water and rice market these days. Seeing his pale face, he was afraid that he was hungry and said, Prince, it was my subordinate's dereliction of duty. I will give it to you. Xiao Yanzhi, who was tasting delicious food, suddenly tightened his pupils and raised his hand to stop Tang Feng from continuing. At the same time, someone ran into the courtyard. Report. Tang Feng understood and quickly went out to close the door, asking the detective, what's going on? Xiao Yanzhi in the house, listening to the movement outside the door, stuffed another dim sum into his mouth. Sure enough, it's Tianfu Tower. I really miss it after 7 years of not eating. Report to the prince, the wedding procession of Dingwa Mansion has crossed the Zhuke Bridge. How could it be so fast? Didn't someone dig a hole in the road and fill it with water? This. What the hell is going on? Dingwa Prefecture's carriages and horses were unable to walk, and the people along the way spontaneously helped them pave the way. Got it, let's go down. The scout had just left when another person ran in. Report. My lord, the wedding delivery team from Dingwa Mansion has passed the perfume pavilion. It is estimated that the time for a cup of tea is coming. What's going on again? Didn't someone lead dozens of fierce horses to block it? Miss Lu's guard is a skilled horse riding expert. Our dozens of horses have now been incorporated into the wedding procession. Ha ha ha. Lu Yunfan, who had just been praised by the people and had just obtained dozens of excellent horses, was now laughing with excitement all over his body. He couldn't help but laugh at Lu Yun's and said. Unexpectedly, our brother in law is really considerate. When Lu Yun's learned why his younger sister got married like this, his bright smile on his face became even more brilliant. I didn't expect my younger sister's wrist to be even better than the King of Yen. Second brother, you didn't tell me in advance, which made me worry for nothing all day. I won't let you say it, I'm afraid you won't be able to calm down. Lu Yunfan unfolded his folding fan and said back. You know, when he found out that my little sister had used such a trick, he was so happy that he didn't fall asleep all day and night. Lu Yun's nodded, but there was no objection. Sitting in the sedan chair, Lu Wanlan was quite satisfied with what she had seen and heard along the way. However, as the distance from the Yen prince's mansion became closer and closer, the truth passed down by the people who helped on the roadside began to deviate. Report. The Lu family has arrived. Report. Xiao Yanzhi in the house is drinking tea while eating dim sum slowly. Sure enough, this woman from the Lu family is not easy to deal with. The obstacles along the way were easily resolved by her. This scene is not easy to perform. I was eating the last piece of dim sum and pondering how to deal with the Lu family later, when I heard that concubine Xiao burst into the hospital. There was a flurry of joy in her words. My son. Oh my God. When did this happen? During the conversation, the door had already been opened. Xiao Yan flew into the brocade quilt, pretending to have just woken up. As soon as Lady Xiao entered the door, she pounced and grabbed his arm, her hands trembling with excitement. Yenner, how long will you keep this big matter from your mother's wife? Xiao Yanzhi glanced at the maid who came in with him, and then looked at Tang Feng, who looked both eager and silent. He swallowed the bite of his tongue and asked. Cough, mother, what did the child hide from you? Princess Xiao took a breath and was about to get angry, but then remembered that her son's illness had only improved this morning, so she slowed down her tone. How could you be so confused? You and that Lu Wanlan were clearly sincere and didn't want to implicate her because you were seriously injured, so you withdrew from her marriage. My mother can understand, but now you are doing well. After hearing this, Xiao Yanzhi sighed in his heart, and the words written in the notebook also reached the ears of his mother. This kind of nonsense, my mother should not believe it. Don't I believe it? Then she's well behaved. If she wasn't really pregnant with your flesh and blood, why did she threaten to be a widow for you? When was this happening again? Swept by the cold gaze of the prince, Tang Feng stuttered. Report to the prince, just now the scout came to report, and now there are rumors outside. So, that Miss Lu is actually pregnant with the prince's child. Cough. Cough. This woman. Her soul is so lingering. Xiao Yanzhi, who had just appeared sickly, finally couldn't hide his anger and sat up. But seeing the black medicinal juice held by the maid again, thinking that her condition had only improved at this moment, she immediately covered her heart and coughed loudly. Cough. Cough. Without admitting or refuting, she just said out of breath, She wants to go into the palace, she's crazy. She wants to use this as a blackmail to threaten the child, cough, cough. Empress Dowager Xiao saw her son getting too excited and quickly patted Xiao Yanzhi on the back. Don't worry, although she has a bad temper, she was actually married by the late emperor. She drank the medicine first and then opened the door for her to enter. Is that okay? End of this chapter. Chapter 10, then enter it. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10, then enter it. When Xiao Yanzhi saw his mother suddenly change her attitude, he knew that this was an old habit that had been committed again. The mother consort never asks about her own affairs, but when it comes to marriage and offspring matters, she always cares and becomes chaotic. He understood the mother's good intentions very well, but now is not the time to explain, he only said. Mother, don't interfere. Just reached out to grab the bowl filled with medicinal juice, wanting to quickly end this topic. Yenner, you. Empress Dowager Xiao pressed on Xiao Yanzhi's wrist, causing a stalemate between the mother and son. Suddenly, she heard the guards inside the mansion calling out. Report to the prince, Dinghua Mansion has arrived at the gate of the mansion and is shouting, I want to see the prince off. Subsequently, a few people inside the house heard the sound of gongs and drums outside the gate, echoing throughout the entire sky of the Yan prince's mansion. At this moment, Lady Xiao's mind was full of her unborn grandson. My son is already 25 years old and has not been married yet. The other concubines have long had their grandchildren running around the ground. Now there is one readily available outside the door, why is it not allowed to enter? As soon as he thought about it and didn't care about anything else, he stood up and said, You guys are really amazing. Then let me, this old bone, go open the door. Xiao Yanzhi pressed his brow and said solemnly, Tang Feng, my mother is feeling unwell. I ordered someone to take her back to her room to rest. Tang Feng was ordered to stand in front of Lady Xiao, and suddenly his face became solemn. Empress Dowager, you should let the prince handle it yourself. I will send it to you. Are you here? Consort Shu was taken aback by Tang Feng's rudeness towards her, but after years of struggling in the harem, she suddenly noticed something unusual. My son has always been filial and never treated me like this. Is there any hidden truth behind this? Empress Dowager, please. Okay. After all, the mother and son were connected, and Lady Shu's eyes only flickered before returning to normal. She understood that it was inconvenient for her to ask more questions at this moment, but nodded in agreement, leading the maid and several guards out of the door. Before being discharged from the hospital, she did not forget to instruct. You can be more careful later, don't touch the fetal pressure. No matter how they make a fuss, don't hurt my grandson, just Amit Buddha. Watching the Empress Dowager and the maid walk out of the courtyard, Xiao Yanzhi regained his cold face and raised his hand to pour a bowl of traditional Chinese medicine juice into the flower pot on the low table beside him. Tang Feng glanced outside and didn't see anything unusual, so he closed the door and returned. Looking at the completely withered plant in the flower pot, I was shocked and said, in just a few days, the toxicity of this medicine. Xiao Yanzhi put down the medicine bowl, raised his eyebrows, and looked outside. He had been brewing a plan for several days in his chest, as if he had a clear chance of winning. It depends on Miss Lu's decision on how to close the net later. Yes, my lord. Tang Feng understood the meaning and bowed before turning and walking towards the gate. The main courtyard of the Wang mansion is spacious and simple, with no decorations except for 2 water tanks filled with lotus flowers. But at this moment, due to the dozens of guards standing here, it appeared particularly crowded. The guards were all burly and upright, holding wooden sticks as thick as their arms. They were already infuriated by the shouting outside the door. As long as Tang Feng gave a command, they would climb out of the wall and beat up the people of the Lu family in disarray. Tang Feng, who had walked over, had nothing more to say. He stomped on the ground with his right foot and used his strength to fly up the courtyard wall. With a fierce gaze, he looked down at the red and white team outside the door. The people of the Lu family had already arrived and had been clamoring outside the Yen prince's mansion for a while before finally seeing someone gasping for breath. Second brother Lu Yunfan snorted lightly, squinted his narrow phoenix eyes, lazily lifted the folded fan into mid-air, and the noisy and eerie music stopped in an instant. He held his chin high and looked contemptuously at Tang Feng on the courtyard wall. Kid, was it my brother-in-law who called you here? Open the door quickly. We have arrived at the door. If the king of Yen is not dead yet, come obediently and kick the sedan door. If he is dead, lie down in this coffin, and my uncle will mourn him now. After speaking aggressively, I didn't forget to point to the magnificent coffin beside me. That's it. Big man and mother-in-law, if you want me to see, I'm not even as good as a woman. Don't pretend to be dead there. On the other side, Lu Yunce tugged at the reins and found a good direction to drink without hesitation to Tang Feng. Tang Feng scanned the whole room without leaving a trace, and saw that the person speaking was Miss Lu's second and sixth brothers, while the other brothers of the Lu family were not present. After being disbanded, many troublesome brothers have never returned, and now there are only these 2 who pose little threat. So he bowed with a bow and replied with a resounding sound. The 2 young masters of Lu are polite. Everyone in my family knows that our prince is lingering on his sickbed. We apologize for any inconvenience caused and suggest that Miss Lu return the same way and choose another son-in-law. Lu Yunce doesn't like this square-headed and big-faced guard at all. Not to mention being a guard, even the kings, nobles, generals, and ministers who are full of capital may not be able to find anyone who dares to show off in front of him. In today's situation, it is not yet the turn of a servant to speak. He raised his whip and pointed to Tang Feng on the courtyard wall, snorting coldly. Just say that Xiao Yanzhi is disrespectful. Now he's letting out a dog barking wildly. I'll skin you first. As he was about to fly up, he was suddenly stopped by Lu Wanlan, who had been silent in the sedan chair. 6 brothers. Stop it. Seeing the little girl talking, Lu Yunzi breathed a sigh of relief and reluctantly sat up straight, giving up the idea of having a big fight with Tang Feng. On the joyous day of my younger sister's marriage, seeing blood is not very good. Don't be impulsive. But still unable to suppress the anger in his chest. Little sister, why bother talking to them so much? At this moment, Lu Wanlan, who had been bumping around in the sedan chair for 2 or 3 hours, had just woken up and was yawning to stretch her muscles and bones. The residence of the Prince of Yen is really far away. We set off early in the morning, and now it's already sunset in the western mountains before we finally get there. Second brother and sixth brother may have been arguing with this guard for a while, but sixth brother can't beat him in the end. At this moment, he needs to fight quickly and make a quick decision. Rubbing her sleepy eyes, Lu Wanlan ignored sixth brother and only lifted the sedan curtain, asking, "Qi Zheng, are they unwilling to open the door?" Qi Zheng, who remained expressionless on one side, respectfully replied, "Yes, girl." Oh, Lu Wanlan leaned against the flower sedan chair and with a clang sound, she placed one leg on the window of the sedan chair, saying helplessly, "We don't have to talk anymore, then let's go in." This command, in just a few words, was softly spoken. But like thunder, it exploded in the ears of everyone present. Miss Lu is still a mother yaksha, she's too lazy to even negotiate. Surprisingly, it's a blatant robbery. Second brother Lu Yunfan waved the golden tassels on his wide sleeves and danced, "Hey! This is like the daughter of our Lu family." Lu Yunzi, with a bewildered expression on his face, said at a loss, "Didn't you just tell me to stop? Why are you going to do it yourself, little sister?" In the moment of everyone's surprise, Qi Zheng had already rushed out. Together, the palm wind shook the golden Nanmu coffin flying, hugging it in his arms. He took a horse step and then his arms shook angrily. The coffin, which was only lifted by 18 sedan bearers, rushed straight towards the vermilion door in front of him. With a loud bang, like a striking clock in the hands of an old monk in the early morning, it shook the inside and outside of the door like the earth-shaking mountains. Bold. Tang Feng didn't expect that Lu Wanlan wanted to use this method to rush in, and this female guard was actually a top-notch expert. Seeing her thin and weak deep blue figure, there was no intention of stopping. If she continued to collide like this, the entire gate and courtyard wall would collapse. He waved his left palm and stopped everyone in the courtyard who was about to climb the wall. "Little girl, you have 2 moves, so I'll come and meet you for a while." After speaking, he jumped down and stomped heavily on the coffin lid with his feet like iron pestles. End of this chapter.